what's really interesting is that most people who talk about the sublime in Kant focus almost exclusively on the third critique, on just a few sections between, I think it's 23 and 27 or 29, on the sublime, when in reality, the sublime, the concept of the sublime, occupied Kant throughout most of his life, and in particular throughout most of his academic career, starting in the very famous 1764 work called On the Observations of the Beautiful and the Sublime. And of course, in that work, he sounds more Burkean in the sense that they are considered empirical judgments rather than transcendental judgments, because Kant had not yet developed his transcendental theory of cognition and his what we call the critical philosophy, as it were. So at this time, he's merely focusing on the sublime in a kind of Burkean way as a judgment about literature, as about specific moral examples, etc., etc. So people tend to not focus so much on this, or they see that there's a huge break between the two, between the pre-critical and the post-critical notion of the sublime, and so they make this huge bifurcation. In other words, when they focus on the 1764 text, then they pretty much just focus on that, and then they don't attempt to relate it to the later Kant. Whereas what I try to do is examine the Kantian corpus in the largest sense. In other words, starting with this 1764 discussion of sublimity, going through especially the second critique, and then ending up in the third critique, and during all that time, his lectures on anthropology. So then you get a real continuity, because he lectured for 20 years, I think, between 1772 and 1770 or 1798. I think the lectures were published soon after that. And so that represents, Kant's teaching during, most of his career. This book examines the major theories of sublimity with a view towards answering the question why or what was so important about the sublime in early modern discourse.